Hi y'all, it's Kaylee, your host of Clearly Focused. Today's episode is going to be a good one. I have another guest on the show. Her name is Carley, and we are going to talk a little bit about self-portraits, which I don't know about y'all, but I'm not very good at doing self-portraits, and it's something that I need to get better at, and she is very inspiring in that manner. So I was very happy that she was willing to sit and chat with me for a little bit about like her process, how she does it, and how she plans for them, how she stays inspired to do them, and like just why she does them. I just love understanding a little bit more about why people do the things they do, right? So for our 30 seconds of silence that we're going to do today, I want you to kind of just take that time. It's very quick, but take that time to release your stressors about your self-confidence issues and your fears and your excuses and all of that kind of stuff that you put around doing self-portraits. I know, especially being a woman, we struggle a lot of times with like body image, and we just don't feel like ourselves certain days. So I can totally understand not wanting to take your own pictures and be in front of the camera, but it is very important for our business, and Carley and I get to chat a little bit about that. But for now, we will take our 30 seconds just to get our mindset in the right spot before we dive into our convo. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here this week. I have another guest on the show. Her name is Carley, and we have been trying to sit down and plan this episode for a while now, so I'm excited we actually get to chat. I think I've been following you since like 2021, and I've loved your artwork, and have wanted to chat with you for so long, so I'm very excited that we are finally getting the chance to just like learn more about each other, and you're going to be sharing about self-portraits with us today, which I'm excited about. So first off, before we get into all that, Carley, tell us a little bit about you. Where do you live? All that good stuff.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here too. And I didn't know that you followed me since 2021. That's kind of fun.
It's been a long time.
It feels so long ago. Yeah, it's crazy. But so I'm Carley. I'm a wedding and elopement photographer. I live in Vancouver, Washington, so I'm kind of based in the Pacific Northwest. I shoot weddings and elopements all over Oregon and Washington. And yeah, I've been doing this for about 4 years. I started my business in 2020, and it's just kind of slowly been growing each year, and it's been a ton of fun. And yeah, today we're talking about self-portraits, which is another thing I'm super passionate about. And yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So are you primarily weddings and elopements? Like you don't do anything else?
Yeah, and I do like engagements and then couple shoots a lot too. Occasionally I'll do a family session here and there. But yeah, mainly elopements is my
That's
main
your niche.
focus, but I'll do weddings here and there. Yeah.
Elopements are so nice, and I definitely think they're trending this year again, like 2024, just because the economy is shite right now, that everyone's going back to like 2020, like tiny elopements, and I'm here for it. It's way less stressful.
I know. I have so many fun elopements coming up this year, and I just can't wait. Like,
yeah,
it's going to be a good year.
And I've got like a lot of weekday elopements. Like, I think I've already had
Same.
like 2 this year, and it's April. I'm like, what? I mean, that's fine with me because then I get my weekend open. Or, you can take on a wedding then too and have, but it's not double header because it's like a Thursday and then like a Saturday or something. So,
exactly.
I mean, works for me.
Same. I love it. I love it so much.
Well, I know that's not what we were coming on here to talk about, but it reminded me. I was like, oh yeah, well, we are getting a lot of elopements, so that's nice.
Yes.
Well, I am really excited to talk about self-portraits because this is something that I did in college a lot, and like I would get, I would take lots of pictures of myself, really way back then. That was like 2012 to 2016, so a long time ago. And I don't know if I got burnt out on it or whatever, but I just don't do it as much anymore. And I see your like pictures of yourself, and I'm just like, Oh, she kills it. Like, she has so many good photos of herself, and the only time I get pictures of me is like if I swap with another photographer. I don't really do like the tripod or anything anymore, and it kind of makes me sad. But you inspire me, and I want to know more about it. So I want to know like when did you start taking self portraits? Was it just because you were like, hey, this sounds fun, or was there like a specific reason?
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like I've been doing it for a while. I didn't start intentionally doing it with like a real camera and tripod until I was starting like my photography business and actually had the gear for that. But even before I started photography, I remember I would like set my camera out, like if I went on a solo hike, for example, like I just find a rock to set it on and like do a little like quick timer to get like a photo of me on the hike or whatever. And so I've always kind of liked doing those things. Like thinking back to high school when like Instagram first came out and stuff, I would take like selfies, which I guess was like pre self portrait.
Kind of a self portrait. It's just an easy self portrait.
Yeah, I feel like I remember just always kind of enjoying doing that, and also kind of feeling embarrassed by it a little bit, because like I know my siblings, for example, would, it's like they weren't taking selfies, so I was kind of like the one made fun of for it or whatever. Right. Which I totally get, but like I kind of just did it because I enjoyed it for some reason, and I've always been more creative and like since I was a kid into just like artsy things, and I think that was a way for me to kind of like, I really care about like visual, like trying to make something look pretty or cool. Like that's always been fun for me. And so then once I started photography, I remember I first started my photography Instagram account in 2020, and I was super nervous to like put myself out there as a photographer. But I remember posting a self-portrait I took, on like a GoPro that we had, because I wanted to have like a picture of me holding my camera, and I just had the one camera at the time because I was just starting this Instagram page.
Baby photographers,
Yeah, I was just like using what I had at my disposal, and I was like, okay, we have a GoPro, so I'll use that to like take a self-portrait. But I remember like this was a brand new account, so like I didn't really have any followers, and I was just starting to like find other photographers on Instagram, like trying to follow them and see what they were doing. But I remember that post of myself getting more like engagement, and I felt like it was because I was interacting with other photographers' accounts, and when they came to my page, they saw a picture of like me and like me talking about myself, and that gives people something to connect with. So from when I first started my business, I was sharing pictures of myself, and I kept doing it after that. I would try to do it like once every like month or so to like reintroduce myself, I guess. And I quickly found too that I loved going to other people's pages who had pictures of themselves. I could tell right away what their face looked like, and could find a little bit of information about them, whether it's like what they are interested in, like how old they are. Like you're looking kind of for something you have in common with other people, and when you go to somebody's page and you don't even know what they look like, or there's nothing to connect with, it's really hard to like
and want to engage with their account.
Connect. Yeah, exactly.
That's totally makes sense.
So I've kind of been doing it since the beginning, and it kind of picked up like when I first started, I didn't even have a tripod, but then I got a tripod, I think in 2021, which really helped me be able to like take better self-portraits, because it gives you so much more like options for like where you can set up your camera and like how high you can have it and all of that
instead
stuff.
of just
so
picking
once I got
the
the
best
tripod,
looking rock and like using a shoe. Like I used to put my phone inside the shoe.
Yep. You get really creative. Like I probably did like set my camera on some things that weren't like the most secure. Like I probably shouldn't have done it, but yeah, once I got the tripod, it's like I would purposely go out like while I was location scouting or before I had a shoot, and I would like try to take cool self-portraits somewhere where like I would really like a picture of myself, like with at the beach or at the mountains or wherever. And I've always been kind of camera shy too. I feel like a lot of people are. And I've always been kind of introverted, and so being able to take my own pictures has been really nice for me, because I almost feel more comfortable to just like try different things, and like I don't care if something looks bad because I don't have to show anyone.
Yeah, you're like, it's just
I can
me.
just kind of experiment. Yeah, experiment and try things, and if it doesn't work, like whatever, like
Yeah,
and
there's nobody
so
else
I
around
found
to.
that that's really helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like being able to do it on your own allows you to be more creative and try weird things and like do the thing that like everyone tells you to do, is just get in front of the camera and move around and whatever.
Yeah.
But like you're not worried about the person taking the pictures, if they're gonna laugh at you, or you know, if they're
Yeah.
or especially if it's someone who's like not a photographer and you're just like, can you please snap pictures, and they then you're like, do they know what they're doing, like are they shooting the right angle?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
being able to do it yourself, I feel like you kind of let go of those inhibitions and you're able to just like have fun with it, and like you might get more out of it, like even more photos out of it too, as well as just enjoy the experience more, being able to do it by yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel
and I feel like you mentioned too that you know, used to do it more and kind of like stopped or whatever. I feel like most photographers do what you do, which is like swap headshots with someone or that kind of thing, which I totally get. It's intimidating to try to take pictures without getting to be behind the camera yourself, and like it's not as natural as like swapping with someone when it's like, okay, you know that they can just like take the picture. So I feel like it intimidates a lot of photographers, and they're like, it would just be easier if somebody else did it, which I agree with in some ways, and like for some people that might work. But what I love about self-portraits is you can literally do it
whenever,
anywhere, and you don't have to have another person there, because I feel like sometimes as photographers we travel by ourselves. At least I know I do a lot. And so if you're going to like a new place by yourself to like shoot a wedding or an elopement or whatever it is, and you want like a cool like picture in this new place, you don't have to have someone else there with you to take it for you. Or if you're like location scouting somewhere or whatever, I don't know. I feel like I get to go to like beautiful spots because of my job. And I don't always take pictures there, but it's like I have the option to if I want to, which is so amazing.
You're more limited when you only do swaps with people. You know, it's like and it's just more of a headache too, because you have to find a date that lines up for both of you guys. Like when can you guys both go to this cool place or something like that? And you're just, like I said, more limited with like when you can do things and where you can do things, because if you travel to Arizona to do pictures, you're like, well, I don't know how to do self-portraits, so I guess I'm not getting anything besides a selfie here.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I think for me and for a lot of others, what intimidates people, obviously just like being by yourself, because like you said, having someone behind the camera telling you what to do and what to do with your hand, just like what we do for our clients, it's like nice having someone do that for us. Yes. But the other thing I think that intimidates a lot of people is just like how to do it, like what settings they need their camera to be on, like obviously a tripod, but do you use like any specific apps, or like I don't know what you shoot with, like Canon or Sony or whatever, but like if you want to give us what your settings are, like your shutter mode or your timer mode or whatever it is that you use.
Yeah Totally. Okay, so I'll share a few things. What I mainly do now, and I've been doing these for a while, is the self-timer method, where I'll set up my camera on a tripod and I will set my settings to however I would normally do for like a shoot. Like I'll take a look at the lighting and where I want to be standing and everything, and get my settings to where I want them. And then for the timer method, I shoot with a Canon 5D Mark IV, and so I think most Canons, like almost all cameras
same.
have, and most cameras like across brands too will have this timer option. I think it's pretty standard for like almost all cameras, but you can set it to an interval timer, which you get to choose how many photos it takes and how much time in between each photo. And so what I've had mine set at for a while is to take 20 photos, which is a lot, every 2 seconds. So there's a 2 second like pause in between each photo. And the reason I love doing it this way is because I do move around a lot when I'm taking self-portraits, and I often take them outdoors.
Yeah, so you've got things like
I don't know, for
wind
me,
and stuff that you're like, oh, the wind blew my hair in my
yeah,
face.
exactly. Like 1 second, it could look one way. Yeah, exactly. And if I'm moving it all, like 2 seconds feels like a good amount of time for me to like shift my pose. But anyway,
Yeah.
the kind of continuous shooting of those 20 photos can give you some of the more like natural or like, I don't know, like movement-y
Yeah.
photos that you would get from somebody shooting you versus just taking like a couple photos at a time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you have a second to pose and
it
then
takes a picture.
you're out of it.
Yeah.
It like allows you to kind of relax and like, you know, you're getting multiple shots. So if like one, you know, you're making a weird face, you have multiple other photos coming or whatever. So that's what I do. And for focusing, that's another thing that I hear people stress about a lot, which I get. It's a little harder to focus when you don't have a person behind the camera. And so a strategy I use when I'm doing the self-timer method is I'll usually find a spot that I'm going to, like, I'll know where I'm going to stand before I hit the shutter. And so if I'm going to be really close to the camera, if it's a closer up shot, I can just focus on something close, or I can even stick my hand in front of the camera, like
smart.
where I'm going to be, focus on my hand, and then go stand in that spot. And then if I'm further away, I'll just focus on like something equal to the distance that I'm gonna stand. So whether it's a rock, a tree, or something I can find. Occasionally there's not anything, and I found that like if I just have it on like my autofocus mode and I go stand in front like a little distance away, like usually it catches focus.
Yeah.
There might be an occasional blurry shot, but like I personally haven't had any issues with it. And I think some cameras too, you could even set it to like eye track and things like that. Even in the self-timer mode, which probably wouldn't would catch focus like every time.
Well, and I would think like maybe like the first one might be out of focus because you're not in the frame, and then it'll take it, and then it'll be like, oh, there's a subject I can detect, and then it'll take it. So it's like if you're doing that 20 photos every 2 seconds, then like maybe the first one or two would be like not in focus. But then after that, you're like, oh, the camera's like, oh, I know what I'm supposed to be doing now. They're smart enough nowadays; they'll figure it out. Yes.
So there's that method, which I personally love. Like that's just what I do almost for everything. But what I've tried a few times, and some photographers like only will do this method, is if your camera has Wi-Fi, you can hook it up to an app.
Phone.
So for Canon, for Canon, it's called the Canon Connect app, which I have. I'm sure there's an equivalent for other brands of cameras, but and what you do with that is you hook your you get your camera connected to the Wi-Fi, and then you can see what your camera sees through your phone, and you can take the picture through your phone as well. I think you can also change settings and focus and all of that through your phone. And so the cool thing about that, obviously, is you can kind of see what's going on.
You can see where you are,
like, what
in
you
the
look
frame.
like. See where you are in the frame, and then you can also focus. So if you're having problems with focusing, you can focus on yourself. The downside to this method that I found, and why I don't use it as often, is because it's kind of distracting for me to like have to press the button on my phone, and like sometimes you're trying to like hide your hand in the phone to take the photo. And for me, at least, I don't know if this is just because my Wi-Fi wasn't super connected, but all the times I was doing it, there'd be a slight lag between like me moving and my camera, and so I was getting like, I would like try to take a photo, but then like the lag was just like a second behind, and I would like move, or I just felt kind of in my head about it because I was like, oh wait, my face looks different from this angle, and I was just thinking about it too hard. But it can be helpful. Like the way that I like to use it is if my hands aren't even in the shot, because I don't have to worry about hiding my phone. if it's just like upper body or whatever. Exactly. And then I can kind of maybe get the shot a little faster because I can see like what angle I need to do and all of that. But for the most part, like I love being able to just like move around in front of the camera, and I find it really hard to do that with the app method. But I can see how for certain people they would maybe really prefer that method over just like putting the timer on. So you would probably want to try both and just see which one you prefer. That's kind of what I did in the beginning, and I've just found that I prefer the timer method, but both have their pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it feels more blocky if you are doing, which I would imagine doing it with your phone would probably feel this way too, but when you just have like the regular timer, like the 3-second or the 10-second timer that's not an interval timer, it's like, okay, you get it all set up and you run in there and you like, you know, get yourself ready, and then you take a picture, and then you're like, okay, and then you run back and you look at the back of the camera and you're like, oh, that wasn't right, and then you do it again. Like, it just feels very blocky, versus if you have the interval timer, you are able to move around, just like we tell our clients most of the time, at least I do, when they're in front of the camera. I'm like, just move around a bit, like, you know, you don't have to be so stiff and rigid, because then when you get your pictures back, you will look stiff and rigid. So like sway, like when you're standing, you guys can sway, like, you know, touch your hair or her hips, like just, you know, be putting your hands on something at all times instead of just like, you know. So I think being able to have the interval timer would be, I mean, I haven't ever tried that method. I've only done the phone method. And I think that's also probably why I hated doing self-portraits now, because I'm just like, I'll take them like for Christmas. Like if I'm doing Christmas minis or something like that, I'll like set up my tripod in between or like at the end of the Christmas minis and get a picture of me for the year. That's like, there's my Christmas card photo that I can say thank you to all my clients with a picture of me for Christmas time. And every year it takes like an hour for me to get like 3 good ones. And I'm like, I'm done with this.
Oh my goodness, yeah. No, and with the self-timer, what I like too is you do end up with a lot of photos at the end, and you delete most of them because, you know, if you're taking 20 photos, you're probably not gonna like keep most of those in the whatever, but
just like normal though, like that's how it is at a normal session. Like we take 800 photos during a 30-minute session, and you deliver 100 of them, like, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, and like you only, when you're taking self-portraits, like you only really need a few good ones from that set, you know what I mean? Like it's very successful if you have like 3 to 10 great photos. You're like, sweet.
You don't need a whole slide every single time. Like you don't need a whole 10 carousel post of photos of yourself from every single time. That's good to remember too.
And sometimes they don't go the way you want them to, and that's another thing too, is I feel like try not to get discouraged if you have one vision in mind and then you end up like not really liking it that much. Like that happens sometimes, and then occasionally you'll do one that surprises you and you'll be like, wait, these photos like turned out amazing. And so I feel like even for people who do it frequently, not every self-portrait session turns out great or the way they want.
You might not be obsessed with
like
the results.
Exactly. And I feel like practice definitely helps, and something I've noticed too the more that I do them is I kind of learn what angles I like and what poses I like, and I feel like I've been able to add on to it. Like the longer I'm doing it, I feel like more confident to try something
funky,
like a little different with posing, and then I might find something that I never thought I would like, and now all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I kind of want to do that more often when I'm taking self-portraits. Like at first when I started doing them, I did not feel super comfortable with moving my arms around a ton or like trying that much. Like I would just want things that were like super like basic, I guess, because I just didn't feel super comfortable posing. And then as like you get more comfortable, or like you watch other people or like get inspired by other poses, it's like I started making myself little mood boards on Pinterest before going out and taking myself portraits, and that gave me little ways to push myself, like, oh, that's a pose maybe I never would have tried, like let's just try it and see how it goes. Or things like that, or different even like angles. Like I remember the first time I tried getting really, really close to my camera while taking self-portraits and being like, this is terrifying. Like these are going to be really close up, but like some of them turned out amazing, and I was like, wait, what the heck? Like I never would have thought to try that.
Well, and
so
like you said,
there's little things that you can experiment with.
Yeah, and like you said, you know your angles and stuff too now, so like I'm sure it just gets faster and easier each time you do it. So like the first handful of times you're going to whip your gear out and get all set up, and it's going to take you a lot longer, and you're going to probably not get as many images back. But then the more and more you do it, the more and more you get used to it, and the more and more you're like, okay, well, I know that I like to turn this way and like drop my shoulders or whatever, so I'm just going to start there because I know I like that, and then we can adjust and like play from there. So that's something else I have to remind myself of. You're inspiring me to go do this now, but I'm like, it's going to be a little bit longer of a process the first few times, but it'll be okay after that.
Yeah, and sometimes it does take me a long time too, I will admit. Like, you kind of have to gauge where you're at as far as like, okay, if I want to maybe just dip my toes in, I would say start like inside your apartment or your house or your bedroom or wherever. Yeah, nothing crazy. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to like set up a plain background and I'm just gonna get used to like the settings of like either the self timer or your app on your phone or whatever it is. Like I'm just gonna like try to take a few just to get familiar with that, because if you practice at home, it's really stressful if like you go out somewhere, like you drive far, you get set up and you're like, okay, wait, how do I like get my settings and how do I do all this? So if you just get familiar with that, and then I mean, you could like be like, I only want to do this for 20 minutes because I'll get frustrated if I go longer. Yeah. And then like what I like to do now, like now I know it kind of takes me longer if I want to get like
something specific.
If I want to get multiple photos that I really love and kind of have a variety, I know it'll take me some time. If I'm just trying to get one shot and I'm not going to try multiple backdrops or whatever, like I'm just going to set my tripod in one spot, get one shot, that could be like 20 minutes. But if I want to get like a variety, it might be closer to like an hour and a half. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just like turn it into like a fun little day for myself, or a fun little date where it's like I want to get cute first, so like I'll you know do my makeup and my hair and kind of think about like, okay, what kind of outfit do I want to wear? Like sometimes I'll like thrift something first, or like I'll just try to like think of what I want the photos to look like, because that impacts like how you'll do your hair and makeup too. Like sometimes I want like big curly hair, or like sometimes I want to wear a hat, or you know, different things. You can kind of think of what you want for it and then make it a little fun date for yourself, and then go to the location, like set up your tripod. Sometimes playing music is fun too, because that can help with the movement and also just relaxing. I think if you can get yourself into a positive headspace where you're like, I'm just having fun and like I just
it's like
want
a little date
to, like,
with yourself. You're just taking yourself on a date.
Yes. Because sometimes when I'm like posing and like moving around, like I try to like embody a more like vibrant version of myself, if that makes sense.
No,
where it's like I'm not just like naturally like, you know, if I'm walking by myself in nature, I'm not going to be like frolicking around or whatever.
Bubbly, like,
but when I'm taking yeah, exactly. But while I'm taking self-portraits, it's like I kind of want to like let that like fun side come out a little bit, or depending on the portraits, maybe they're more serious. Whatever it is, it's just like kind of getting in the zone for that. And for me, that's way easier to do when I'm by myself. Like if there's another person there, I'm like
I can't get in the zone.
Like I'm laughing, or like I can't, whatever. And so sometimes I do try to do that, depending on the mood of the pictures.
That's fun, though.
And the music can help with that, too.
Yeah, that's fun, though, to think about it like that as like a little date for yourself. And like you get to plan your hair, your makeup, your outfit, all that kind of stuff. And like it's different each time. And how often do you think that you do these? Like, do you try to do it every month, or like every quarter? Like, or do you just be like whenever inspiration strikes?
I've been trying to do it every month. Last year I think I did 11 out of the 12 months. And
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it was good. And I feel like this year I'm just trying to do the same. And I think I've already done like 4 different self-portraits this year. And not all of them, like the last one I did, I haven't posted any from it yet. I might, but like it wasn't one that I was super excited about. I feel like when I'm really excited about the photos, I usually post them pretty quick after I take them. Yeah, but when I'm not as excited, I'm like, maybe I will eventually, but I'm not that excited about them. So that does happen sometimes. And that's totally normal. I almost feel like it's not good, but like it's helpful to just like know that every time is going to be different. Like sometimes you might get to a spot and the lighting's not great, and it's nothing wrong with you. Or maybe like for this last one I did, I wasn't super like, oh, I'm gonna like get ready to go and all this stuff. It was like I'm location scouting, but like I'll bring my tripod and take a few portraits. And so I wasn't really dressed super cute either, like that kind of thing. Like my outfit wasn't like feeling like the right vibe. Yourself. And so sometimes that happens. Yeah, exactly. And that's totally normal.
But that's also how like every regular like a shoot with us goes too. Is like you know, even we can shoot at the same location multiple times and every shoot would be different there just because of how the lighting is and because of the way, like the colors that the clients chose to wear. Sometimes they blend in, sometimes they stand out, sometimes they clash with the background, like, you know, so it's the same. You just have to remember all of those things that you tell your clients or that you experience as a photographer just shooting other people. You have to remember those things are also a factor when you're shooting yourself.
Totally.
Also shooting
and
yourself.
It's a great experience too.
I'm like, photographing yourself, I mean.
I do that all the time.
I know.
But yeah, I don't know. I also feel like the experience of being in front of the camera is so valuable as a photographer, obviously. Like, sometimes we can forget what it's like to be in front of the camera because we're behind it so much.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you been able to, like, connect with your clients more in that way and just, like, being like, trust me, I know what it feels like to be in front of the camera because I do it every month, and every month we struggle, and it's fine, but has that been able, like, a good thing for you to be able to connect with clients on?
Definitely. I feel like I completely relate, and even, like, couple photos I've had done with my husband, like, I always get a little nervous for shoots, and so I definitely connect with my clients on that. But I found that it's helpful with even me being more comfortable to show my clients, like, a pose. I feel like I'm just quicker to be like, oh, this is how you do it, like, with my body. I'll, like, show them or whatever, because I'm more used to, like, okay, this is what I do when I'm taking self-portraits, or whatever it is. I feel like I'm kind of more used to showing them the pose I'm trying to. It's
more familiar in your own body, so it doesn't.
Yes.
You can show them because it looks natural because you've done it before.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that's helpful to them too, to, like, see that, like, I'm just willing to, like, try weird things too, like, in front of them and be like, oh, like, do it like this or, like, sit like this, because it is kind of uncomfortable to, like, try different poses you've never done before. And, like, most of my clients probably like haven't, like, this isn't a normal thing for them to do. And so I feel like I definitely connect to them more because of that.
Well, that's good. I think that's important for us to always be able to put ourselves in front of the camera, whether we're doing self-portraits or headshot swaps or whatever. It's always nice to be able to relate to them on that level. But if you do them so often, you know, you say you do it every month, do you ever feel, like, tired of doing them? Like, how do you stay creative and, like, excited and come up with all these new, like, ideas and outfits and locations and all that kind of stuff without being like, oh, I have to do this again?
That's a great question, honestly.
And I'm sure there's times, there's always times where you're like, most of the time you love it, but then there will be that one random time that you're just like, nope, I'm not feeling it.
Totally. And I think that, honestly, just, like, I don't know if this is just being a girl or what, but, like, some days it's like you're just not feeling very confident, and it's like, oh, like, the last thing I want to do is, like, take pictures of myself today, or, like, see pictures of myself. And so that definitely happens, and I feel like it's okay to listen to yourself. And on days like that,
maybe not.
I mean, usually on days like that I'm not inspired to, but occasionally it's like, oh, I was planning to do it this day and I'm not feeling great. And I feel like it's a mixture of both. Like, you have to know yourself. But I've definitely been able to get over that hump where it's like I'm getting set up or I'm getting ready to take self-portraits and I'm just not feeling my best and I don't feel like I'm looking my best. But I've been able to get over that hump before where it's like, but, like, you know what? Like, I should just do these anyway. And, like, you know, let's like rally and, like, do them anyway. And, like, worst case scenario, we don't like them. But, like, let's at least try it out and see how it goes. And sometimes I'm super happy with the results and I'm like, why was I so insecure or whatever? And then other times it's like the opposite where I'm, like, feeling great and then I, like, hate the pictures and I'm like, wait, what the heck? Like, I felt so confident.
Was so high and then you're like, oh, that was not cute.
And then obviously sometimes it lines up too where I'm feeling confident, the photos are great, or occasionally, like, I'm not feeling it and I decide not to go for it because I'm like, you know what, like, the energy is not right today or whatever. And so I think it's okay to listen to that, and I'm definitely not, like, 100% of the time just down to go take self-portraits. Like, that's why it's hard to do it once a month even, because, like, that's a commitment, you know, like you were saying. And I think the reason I've been able to stay consistent with it is partially because I enjoy getting to share that with, like, my community. And I feel like it's a way for me to honestly kind of express myself in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as photographers, you know, we're all kind of creative people and artists in our own way. And I feel like this is one of the ways that I'm able to kind of express maybe a more personal side of myself. Whereas when
Yeah.
I'm posting photos of clients and stuff, it's like,
About them.
it's still my art, and it's of them, and it's still from my perspective, but it's not as much of a focus on me. It's like all about their story. You know what I
Right.
mean? Whereas when I share pictures of myself, I feel like I get to share a little bit of me and my story. And I honestly feel like that's what motivates me to keep doing it, is because I love to be able to like share parts of my life, and I like to be able to see that I'm like changing and
Yeah.
growing, and like life goes by so fast. I feel like it's cool to be able to have these little
Yeah.
milestones of like, oh, that's where I was at that season. And if you're anything like me, like if I didn't take photos of myself, like I wouldn't have any photos
Yeah.
of myself. Like I don't have somebody like taking pictures of me ever, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so it's like, that's my way to kind of document for myself, just like this little tiny slice of my life, to be able to look back on.
Yeah, I think that's
And
really
yeah,
cool.
like it's cool even seeing little things change, like, oh, my hair was so different, or like just, yeah, little things like that. And even like what I used to wear like when I first started photography versus like the clothes I wear now have like kind of changed. And
Yeah.
so it's just fun to kind of see like how you've grown over the years and like how things have changed.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, because like you said, life goes by so fast, and like we spend so much time taking pictures of other people, and we don't really get a lot of pictures of ourselves, that it would be so cool
Yeah.
if you do implement self-portraits to be able to have pictures of yourself like going through life, like you're going to these awesome places, you're doing this job that makes you happy, and like you should have photos documenting that, and being able to share that with other
Totally.
people, like you said, being able to post online and talk about your life and talk about more like behind the scenes for you and your personal life, and connect with your clients in a deeper way that way, instead of it just like only being client based stuff on your page.
Yes. And I think that, like, first of all, other photographers will love it. I feel like it's kind of a common thing in the photography world to follow other photographers. Other photographers follow you. And so that's kind of fun because we're all living this unique lifestyle
Yeah.
where it's like we have a photography business. Like, not everybody experiences that. And so it's fun to, like, keep up with other people who are doing the same thing. So, first of all, I feel like your photographer followers will love to
Yeah.
see just you living your life. It's so nice to know there's other people out there doing what you're doing. And then also your clients or potential clients will absolutely love to connect with you in that way, because they're the ones who are going to be like investing money in you and like trusting you with their like personal life.
Yes.
Like a lot of things we capture are very personal things, and so if you're not showing your face and sharing anything about yourself, like you don't have to tell Instagram your whole life,
Right.
but like just little things about you that can give people something to connect
Yeah.
with and give them a better idea like who you are as a person, and that will make them, you know, whether they hire you later or they just want to follow along on your journey, that's
Yeah.
what's going to like keep them like showing up and wanting to like see what you're doing. you
Yeah,
know?
I think there was that. I don't even know if this is still a rule anymore. I still kind of try to follow it. I've gotten away from it this last year, or maybe not, maybe less than a year, but where it's like one full screen. Like if you go to your Instagram page and you scroll up so that like the whole screen is your grid, if that makes sense. Like there should be a photo of you.
Yeah.
On that screen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like because that's like when people
Uh-huh.
scroll once, like they want to see your face, and if they can't see your face in that
Yeah.
one screen, then it's like, who am I talking to? Like I
Who
don't
are
even
they?
know what this
Yeah,
girl looks like.
exactly.
Yeah, and then especially for like a one-off session, like obviously with weddings you probably have consultation calls and that kind of stuff that you meet with them in person. But if you're just meeting
Yeah.
them for a session, like you're getting out of the car and they're like, I don't even know what this photographer looks like. Like, and there's like 6 other
Yes.
people with cameras out here at golden
Yeah.
hour. Like I don't know which one of them it is.
Totally. Oh, because I feel that with clients sometimes. Like, occasionally I'll be able to, like, find a picture of them before, but sometimes I can't. And I'm like, like, who are they?
Yeah, oh, it's the worst.
It always works out, but...
Yeah, it's the worst when, like, it's mostly because they know what I look like, though. Honestly, it's not because I know what they look like, because, like, their
They
Instagram...
recognize me, so-
Yes, their Instagram is, like, private, and I usually don't follow them until, like, after I've worked with them and, like, I'll post their stuff, and then
same,
I'll follow...
honestly,
I don't
yeah.
follow them beforehand, because I'm like, what if it falls through? And then I'm just following this one random person, and I'm just like, I don't know who this is, why did I follow them? And so like when I post
Yeah.
their sneak peeks and I'm like tagging them on Instagram, that's when I go follow them. But I'll try to look at their page beforehand, and of course their Instagram profile picture is like from a million miles away, and I can't see their
Yeah.
face, or it's like them and
Yeah.
like 6 other girls, and I'm like, which one are you? And so then I'm getting out of the car and I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know what this person looks like. But because I post
Yeah.
on my stories, and I talk a lot on my stories, I try to do that every day. And then posting pictures of myself on my feed, people know what I look like. So they'll get out of their cars and be like,
Yeah.
hey, Kaylee. And I'm like, that's my client because they know what I look like.
Exactly. No, it's so helpful for that, really. Like, I don't think I feel like until you start doing it, you don't realize how much it impacts. So if you're not doing that, like, just try it and see what happens, because I feel like people will be able to, like, yeah, really, really connect with you. Like, when they land on your page, say it's like their first time seeing your page, that's what they're looking for, is just some point of connection. And if you have it there easy for them, then the likelihood of them sticking around is so much more.
That's so true. And I'm curious to know, like, what other ways do you think that taking self-portraits regularly has helped, like, how's it impacted your business? Obviously, clients being able to connect with you more and that kind of stuff. They know your face when you're showing up for a session.
Yeah.
But do you notice any other ways that has, like, well, I guess even negatively, but, like, hopefully positively impacted your business?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot of the ways already. I feel like it's great because it helps me to, I feel like, stay creative in some ways, and also just like keep creating, even if I have like a little bit of a, like, if it's off season and I'm not shooting as much or whatever, like, that's almost when I enjoy it the most, because I don't have a lot going on. It's like, wait, I do kind of want to go take some pictures or like make something or whatever.
Be creative in some way.
Exactly. And I don't know, I feel like it's impacted social media a lot, which in turn impacts my business a ton, because my business is very like I get most of my inquiries from and clients from Instagram. That's where they find me. And so I feel like it's had a really direct impact on that, because if I wasn't able to reach clients through Instagram, honestly, like, I would probably not be able to be full-time in my business right now and things like that, because it just really accelerated the people I was able to reach. And like, I've obviously worked with like some people that have been connected with me since before my photography Instagram, but not enough for me to like have a full-time business. And so I feel like that really, really changed things for me, and is I guess I have no way to know. I don't have anything to compare it to, because I've always been posting self-portraits like as long as I've had my business, but I really do believe it's had a major impact on people wanting to follow my journey, and then clients finding me through that way and just feeling like there's something they can connect or trust. Because even in their inquiry forms, like if they say they found me on Instagram, like sometimes in their little like note to me, it'll say something about like something they've seen or heard or whatever, and it's just like, I feel so connected to your whatever. And it's cool, because I know that even though I don't know who they are, like something about what I'm doing connected with them. And so I just really believe it's such a huge part of, honestly, so many of my clients. Like, it's like when I meet them, sometimes it feels like they already know me a little bit. They feel like they know me because they followed me on Instagram or whatever. And it's cool, because for me, that helps with even the nerves of being around someone you don't know and haven't met. Because it gives this level of comfort of like, oh, they chose me and they wanted like me to be here. And all of a sudden I have this confidence of like, I can just be myself with them. They chose me, like, we can just kind of like hang out. And I feel like even though I'm kind of introverted and like I tend to be socially anxious around new people, I find with my clients I'm less so that way, because we've already had that like point of connection. And the fact that they picked me makes me feel like that burst of confidence of like, okay, I can be myself. Like, I am wanted here. And I think that's so powerful. And I think that if you're not sharing yourself at all and it's just about your work, it's great that they're connected to your work, but it is kind of like hard
Yeah.
to like make that human to human connection when they don't know anything about you and they haven't like seen your face yet and stuff like that. And so for me, it kind of just skips that part of like,
Yeah.
instead of when we're meeting face to face, that's the first time they're seeing me, they've already kind of been introduced to me before.
It takes away that
which I
awkwardness
love.
too. And like we're asking them to do something very vulnerable by being in front of the camera, because as have talked about before, like throughout this episode, like being in front of the camera, it doesn't come naturally and sometimes it feels weird. So, you know, we're asking them to do that with us, and you know, by them knowing that you do that yourself, because they're like, oh, I've seen her pictures of herself, so I know she does this regularly, so she knows what we're feeling. But they can show up and they feel like they already know you. So because of, not just because you're posting your face, but because you're talking about yourself in those posts, and so then they're less nervous, so then they're not awkward, so then you're not awkward, so then like everything just flows way better, because you're just like, oh, like I feel like I already kind of know you. It's not like I'm just like, hi, nice to meet you, let me take pictures of you.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like it's even this small way, I'm thinking now of how it's helped me also, is by pushing myself out of my comfort zone, because I feel like it is a little uncomfortable to take pictures of yourself and put that on the internet. I don't know, something is vulnerable about that to me.
Oh, totally, it is.
Even though I enjoy doing it, like clearly, like there's a part of me that like that's what keeps me going, is being able to share. But at the same time, I get anxious about like posting pictures of myself or like opening up about like a small part of myself, even if it's just like, you know, those posts where it's like some facts about me or whatever, like get to know me. Like sometimes even that, I'm like, I don't know if people are gonna like connect with this or think that like
judge you.
it's whatever. Judge me for just like who I am. But I feel like it's good for everyone to kind of practice that like small steps of vulnerability of like, okay, just a little outside of your comfort zone. Like it might be kind of scary to show a picture of your face, and I've heard other photographers talk about too, like, oh, like I'm nervous like what people will think if I like start posting more pictures of myself, or like it just feels uncomfy to share, you know, like I've heard that a lot, and it's like I get it, and like I've struggled with that in my head too, where I'm just like, are people judging me? Do they think I'm weird for like posting so many pictures of myself? But it's like literally nobody really cares, and if they do care,
they're not the right client for you.
That's their own
that's their own issue to deal with, not yours.
Their own issue of like, okay, why do you even care what I'm doing? But like I feel like that's so normal to get in your head about those things. So if you're willing to push yourself a little outside of your comfort zone to do that, to share a little about yourself, that's the more you're willing to get like uncomfortable, the more other people are going to like see you as almost like a safe person of like, oh, they were willing to like put themselves out there, and you know, maybe there's something about you that you were kind of nervous to share, but somebody else connected with it and they were too nervous to tell anyone either, but now they're like, oh wait, there's actually some safety here of like, this person's willing to talk about it. Like sometimes I'll share a little bit about like mental health struggles and things like that, and that's something that is very vulnerable, but also I know there's other people out there who also experience it and probably don't feel super comfortable talking about it. And it's so nice to have those people that are willing to go a little bit outside of their comfort zone to make that connection, and it almost gives other people around you that permission to do it too. So I hope by me sharing more that it inspires other photographers, and like I've had photographers tell me like I'm more inspired to take self-portraits, and like, oh, I want to try that. And so that is what really makes me happy, and I think another reason why I keep doing it is just because it's giving other people permission to like take up space, show up as themselves, and do what they want without caring so much what other people will think. And when I see that happening, I like get chills. I get so excited because I'm like, okay, like there, and like I've had people tag me in the self-portraits they take, and it just makes me so happy to see that people are willing to like try something new and do something uncomfortable by taking pictures of themselves. And it's just so beautiful. Like I love seeing other women kind of like own who they are, and like you get to see you get themselves through their eyes. It's like when you take self-portrait, it's like how you view yourself almost, and like and you can be creative with it, and you can make yourself into like this like maybe more vibrant or whatever version, but it's like it's art, and it's like the way you see yourself. And I think it's so powerful to share that, and it gives the other people and women around you permission to like kind of focus on themselves, honestly, and be like, oh yeah, like I deserve to have my photo taken. I deserve to like
celebrate myself,
to show my face, and yeah, celebrate myself, and like people want to see me and people want to like cheer me on. Like, I don't know.
That's so beautiful though. Like, you're so right. I mean, being able to see, like, I'm sure not only all the things you just said, like, it's like you want to do it because you want to give them permission, but seeing that like also gives you, I feel like, kicks back to you to be like, okay, they're doing it because of me. Like, that makes me feel good because it encourages me to keep doing what I'm doing because it's impacting someone positively. And yeah, that's really cool. I love everything you just said. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm happy we talked about that, because I feel like all of this is like inside, but sometimes I'm like, wait, like what prompt is going to like, oh yeah, like I'm actually really passionate about this.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. But no, and it's cool because like you're connecting, you're voicing what it is about self-portraits that's a deeper level. I mean, obviously it's good because it's, you know, we're showing our faces more on our business and whatever,
yeah.
But and like, yeah, maybe it's like an onion layer, like, okay, that's the top layer, then the next layer could be like getting to document yourself like as time goes by. That's kind of cool too. But like deeper than that, there's all this other stuff that we don't realize that is important about taking pictures. So like taking self-portraits.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's so cool.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I am so happy that you were able to jump on and chat with us a little bit. Do you have any last parting words or advice or tips or anything for the listeners that you want to sprinkle on them before we're done?
Oh my goodness. I feel like I'll say that hopefully this episode was encouraging if you're somebody who like looks at people who post pictures of themselves and thinks like, oh, that would be cool to do, but like it's just not for me. Like, you know, if you think like, oh, I'm not like pretty enough to do it, like please stop that immediately. Like, everybody wants to connect with the person behind the account, and like, yeah, I don't know, like please be willing to like at least give it a try to show yourself. Not everybody maybe wants to be forward facing like that in their business, but if it's something you desire but you're just holding yourself back because you're worried what other people will think, or you're worried about the way you'll look, like please be willing to do it anyway, just for you. And yeah, I hope this episode encouraged some people to go out there and just try it, and hopefully it becomes something you enjoy and at least a skill that you have and can use when you want it.
Yeah, very true. Good parting words. Is there anything that you are excited about that is coming up in the next couple months that you want to share with us? And then like, where can people find you, Carley?
Yeah, so I'm mainly just on Instagram at Carley Mae Photography. I also have a TikTok, Carley Mae Photography, as well. And I do have a podcast that has 18 episodes right now. If you want to go listen, I'm planning to start it back up again soon.
Yay.
It's called The Art Is You, and it's on Spotify.
I love that. That's a cute name.
Yeah, so I've had some people. Yeah, I feel like with self-portraits, it kind of connects
sense.
too and everything. Yes, totally. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to go binge the first 18 episodes, I am planning to like start back up recording again. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yay, awesome. Well, and I will link all that stuff in the show notes too, so that the listeners can just go right to the page from here. But thank you so much for joining me. I learned so much, and I'm definitely going to try and make myself take more self-portraits this year, because it needs to happen.
I love it. I can't wait to see them.
Yes.
And thank you so much for having me on. This was fun.
Oh, of course.